Hey, so we are right back. We're going to be reading Chapter 4 of Quirks Do Not Equate Intelligence on AO3 by fanfiction_artist_prototype. Let's get right into it. E-Class wins the match. E-Class win the match. Unfortunately, the girls lost the basketball, but they don't seem to mind. Izuku is just happy to see some of the teenagers he'd seen grow and improve more and more. He can also admit he laughed his head off, Bakugo actually having to drag him to safety because of how loud he is when Karma riled up the crowd, pissing them off beyond belief. He loves it. He absolutely loves seeing that the current E-Class don't care. This is their group, their family, and with all E-classes, it doesn't start that way, but after a while you learn about each other, you learn to defend each other, and one day you wake up and it's family, and they're willing to give it their all. He doesn't miss the trails of bloodlust hanging in the air, though. They're faint, but hours spent in the principal's office under strict tutelage and supervision have allowed him to pinpoint it. Remembering those sessions in his third year make a shiver run up his spine. For all that the man had hated E-Class, he seemed to want Izuku to succeed, going as far as to say that he got into his dream hero school. It would be an inspiration for the other classes to work harder. He'd almost given up on UA just to spite the man. After the match, the boys of E-Class go off somewhere and the girls follow. He presumes they're going up to the mountain to get changed. He hopes he remembers the right path. Unfortunately, and that truly emphasizes his disdain for the older Asano, they don't have the younger Asano waiting alone for them. No, they have both of them. He's given the younger a lot of shit, never to his face or behind his back, but in his mind, but he can see that this was probably the better of the two outcomes that arrived from having an Asano-san as your father. It was better for him to be a sadistic brat with a slight inferiority complex and daddy issues than it was for him to be a more openly traumatized little boy who cried all the time. At least this way he wasn't the small fish being eaten, but it was at the expense of others, so there was truly no happy medium. He makes a point to stare at the younger Asano while the older one talks. Graciously, the younger one doesn't act like he notices, instead taking the time to survey his classmates. He's glad. The both of them have been on the receiving end of Asano-san's bloodlust. He resists the urge to squirm. He isn't stupid. He can feel the stare upon him. He'd have to be stupid not to. The alarm bells glowing off in his head just confirm the fact that the man is staring. Midoriya, I'm glad to see you got into your dream school. He has to look over now. It'd be rude not to. And the thing is, no matter how much stronger he's gotten, no matter how much braver he is terrified of this man. He is terrified of what he can do to him with a single locking of the eyes, and he hates that the man knows that he's scared of him, because that gives him power, and that is the last thing he wants him to have. So with the sheer force of will that got him through E-Class, he raises a mental barrier, something he learned from one of his E-Class classmates who had a mental quirk. The barrier is designed to keep his mind safe from the prodding and poking of the sick bastard in front of him. He hopes it will work. As he meets Asano-san's eyes for the first time in nearly a year, at once the bloodlust rushes into his system. It chokes him, tries to make his eyes water, as submit tries to work its way into his psyche. He releases his own brand of bloodlust into his eyes, a retaliation. He feels sick when a sly, proud lilt encompasses the man's passive features. Thank you, sir. He wants to say more, but the mental fortitude is taking to keep submit out of his head is making his head spin. The quirk relents eventually, but he refuses to show how fast his heart is pumping. He notices a subtle shift in the way Aizawa holds himself when he addresses Asano-san. He notices that there isn't any eye contact, indirect or otherwise. From the looks of it, Aizawa is pointedly focusing on the bridge of the man's nose. He's knew his teacher was smart. He feels a shift to his right, and is still keyed up from the mental drain seconds prior. He tenses up until Uraraka is in his peripheral, and she's smiling hesitantly, like she knows something isn't wholly right here. He's glad for that, which is why he lets her link their arms. If she notices that he starts leaning his weight on her to keep himself supported, she doesn't mention anything. Sensei, can we talk? He isn't sure what surprises him more, the manner or the fact that Bakugo is coming to him to talk about something, but Shota knows he's got to listen. It's his job, and if something is driving Bakugo so far from his pride and compass safety net, he needs to know. Sure. He opens the door to his room, letting the blonde loiter for a few seconds before he comes in. Etiquette dictates he welcomes the kid to sit down, but he has a feeling now isn't the time for politeness. You felt it today, didn't you? He has a feeling of what this is about, but he doesn't say anything. That weird, creepy feeling from Deku. That kid and his father had the same feeling. I did. Why? He doesn't like the way Bakugo's features twist. You know what that feeling is, don't you, Sensei? He doesn't respond. He isn't about to tell the kid what bloodlust feels like. It isn't anything bad, is it? Oh. He isn't expecting the fragility of that last statement. It's a gentle concern, one for a family member or of a close friend, neither of which describe of a family member or close friend, neither of which describe the relationship between him and Midoriya. Why do you ask that, Bakugo? Because Deku's had that weird feeling about him since we were kids. Well, shit. Izuku-san, smiling as brightly as he was yesterday, filled to the brim with energy. What? His smile widens as he repeats what he just said. We're working with E-Class, so every morning we have to climb this mountain to get to the old campus. He was originally hesitant to accept reclaiming the mountain. That last day when Yukimura-sensei got tarps poured water onto them and most of the way down the mountain and let them slide down on sleds was supposed to be his last time on the mountain. But then the realization that he gets to be away from Asano-san and all the ungrateful brats of 3A who forget that he helped them study time and time again in his last year appears in his mind, and he's never been happier to scale a mountain. You're kidding? Why does E-Class have their own campus? Where else do you expect them to stick the highly secretive monster that blew up the moon? Aizawa just sounds tired, probably dreading all of the dragging of petulant first years he'll be partaking in. His smile drops, though, as he corrects his teacher. Actually, E-Class has always had the old campus as their classroom. He looks over his shoulder, remembering that classy pool march of death, and just barely spots the top of the building. E-Class stands for N-Class. There's a new form of silence that settles down. It's where the school finds too difficult to manage, or don't keep up with the school's status quo, or don't meet the right grade requirements go. He pauses, looking back to his classmates. It's also where people with undesirable quirks or no quirks go. Anything else we should know? I'm not sure if it would apply to us, seeing as we're visitors technically, but E-Class can't use any of the main campus facilities, including the canteen, gym, or library. He's stared at. Seriously? Dude, he's already slipping into E-Class mentality as he laughs and starts jogging the mountain. It's E-Class. The shitter. The shittier they do, the happier the principal is. He doesn't hear the reply clearly, but Sarah doesn't sound too pleased. But he ignores it as he sets a once familiar pace and makes his way up the mountain. His mind tries to drift to the deceased Yukimura-sensei, and he shuts it down. He's here to kill the apparently infamous Koro-sensei. He's not here to sink into a depression. That can wait. Helping save the world cannot. He's been at the top of the mountain for a while. It's 10 minutes till the class starts, and he's still waiting for his classmates to arrive. He and Aizawa are the only ones at the top, the pro having banned the use of quirks. He can only imagine the despairing faces of all the kids in the class with quirks suited to mobility. He doesn't really care, though. He gets to drill Koro-sensei, and it's amazing. Do you have a quirk? If so, does it improve your agility, or does that just come with your body's mutation? Is it a mutation quirk, or do you come from a family with mutations quirks? And is this a result of it? When he has his notebook out and is writing down the happily given answers. He loves being able to just ask and not be judged for it. His pen moves a mile a minute as Koro-sensei just answers. After his barrage is over with the taps of the pen against his lips in an attempt to figure out what question he wants to ask, the creature's face changes color while he thinks, green stripes starting to decorate his head. Koro-sensei starts going on about how he's such an interesting thing and how finally someone was taking notice. He turns to Nagisa and he's worried about how the boy is sticking close to his side. It's something he used to do a lot in first year, but started to grow out of it in his second, when he got close to Karma. It seems he's regressing, and he wants to know why he seems to be losing his confidence. Is Koro-sensei always like this? Yeah, the green stripes mean he's underestimating you. It's a sign of his ego. He added that to his notebook page. Can I use your notes on him as well, Nagisa? The boy's startled expression makes him smile. How'd you know I'd taken notes, senpai? It was a hunch. He taps the pen against his lips again. You had a habit of emulating me. I figured in a situation like this, your mind would link to my always taking notes. Am I wrong? Nagisa gives a shy laugh, and Karma makes a comment about Nagisa always following him like a puppy, and the blue net retaliated. It seemed like he was wrong about Nagisa losing confidence. Nagisa confirms his hypothesis when they get to chatting. He sees two He sees two other adults conversing with Aizawa as he nudges Karma and Nagisa to ask who they are. He'd asked some of the others, but but everyone seems content, so he'll ask the ones immediately in range. Who's that? That guy, the guy's Karasuma-sensei, PE teacher and government agent. I think he's supposed to be the case handler. Nagisa starts and Karma continues. The blonde is bitch-sensei. She's a professional assassin. She's a professional assassin and femme fatale, be surprised if she so don't be surprised if she starts kissing you. Wait, bitch sensei, don't tell me that's her name. You got something to say to me, punk? Oh, you wanna go, Blondie? Then let's fucking go. He's cut off by the sound of explosions, cracking the earth, and the roaring voices of Bakugo and Terasaka. He runs out of the room, E-class behind him, and to the front of the building where the rest of the exhausted class stands, as Bakugo lets off explosions in his hands and gets into the younger boy's face. Terasaka opens his mouth in a snarl, vicious canines catching the light as he looking like vicious knives. His dragon mutation work will make him resistant to Kachan's quirk. He finds himself thinking, if they were to fight, it would be vicious. He can see Koro-sensei about to intervene, but he'd rather be the one on the searing end of Bakugo's explosion than his junior, or someone they don't know of the abilities of yet. He wonders briefly if Koro-sensei has an adaptation quirk. Bakugo, back off! His shout surprises both boys enough for the aggression to be put on hold. Deku, stop sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Senpai, you know this clown? He's ready to just curl up and let the fight happen, but no. So he steps between Bakugo's lighter explosions contained to his hands, now that he knows his teachers are watching, and his kohai. Both of you stop it. He's a junior high student. You're invading his turf. Don't pick or fight with him. And you, he's never done anything stupider than turn his back on Bakugo Katsuki while his explosions are activated. But here he is. Why the hell are you picking a fight with a high schooler? Did you just ignore me when I told you to pick your battles, huh? Terasaka has a good 14 centimeters on him, but you'd never know it with the way that the boy stands down. He was threatening me. What the hell was I supposed to do? Defuse the situation! And if that doesn't work, run! It isn't cowardly, Terasaka. Picking a fight with at the first sign of aggressive behavior is. His comment is meant for both of them, and clearly Bakugo realizes, and so do his classmates. Oh god, Bakugo's pissed. He looks ready to kill Midoriya. He turns, expecting the explosive fist that comes his way, and is somewhat surprised at what happens next. 1. Aizawa shuts off Bakugo's quirk so the heat of the explosion never reaches him, and 2. The man Karasuma, he thinks, grabs Bakugo's right hook mid-punch. He stares, as does Bakugo, at the man, this stranger, who is willing to do that for him. The only people ever willing to help him this way before have been Aizawa and All Might. 2 people who have an obligation as his teachers to help him. This stranger is a godsend, though, because the all gives him enough time to move out of his firing line, and as Aizawa has to blink. Bakugo, was it? Karasuma's voice is harsh as he talks, but he can decipher the same hidden kindness that resides in Aizawa's voice. While here at Kinugigawa, I will be one of your teachers, and as such, I have every right to punish you for attacking a student. Give me one reason to put you on suspicion. Give me one reason not to put you on suspicion. Oh, oof. Okay, so that was that. I'm gonna post these videos, and then I'll probably be done reading this fic, because from what I remember, it just kind of goes downhill from here. It's not as great. See you guys later.